Good evening. Tonight we bring you a story that reaches far beyond headlines, a story that touches every corner of the globe, whether you realize it or not. We're tracking a story with global implications, about water, steel, and power. It's a tale of how the world's commerce depends on a delicate balance and how easily that balance can be shattered. Picture a single ship, stuck sideways in a narrow channel, halting the global economy. One vessel, wedged in the wrong place at the wrong time, can bring the world's busiest trade route to a standstill. Hundreds of ships carrying oil, electronics, and food trapped in a massive traffic jam at sea. Each ship represents not just cargo but livelihoods, industries, and the daily lives of millions. This was the Ever Given blocking the Suez Canal, a stark reminder of our world's fragility. For days, the world watched as engineers and tugboats struggled to free the ship, while billions of dollars in goods sat idle. Our modern supply chains balance on a knife's edge, defined by two critical waterways. The Suez and Panama Canals are the narrow gates through which the world's commerce must pass. These canals are more than shortcuts, they're the arteries of international trade. Without them, ships would be forced to take long, perilous detours, costing time and money. A disruption sends shockwaves across continents. Prices spike, factories halt, shelves go empty. The effects are immediate and far-reaching, touching everything from the food on your table to the fuel in your car. The rhythm of global life is thrown into chaos, revealing a vulnerability we often ignore. The world's economy, so vast and complex, can be brought to its knees by a single point of failure. The power these canals hold is immense, and the struggle to control them is constant. Nations invest heavily in security and infrastructure, knowing that whoever controls these choke points wields enormous influence. This isn't just about logistics, it's about geopolitics and the strategic value of controlling these gateways. Behind every shipment is a web of alliances, rivalries, and negotiations. Nations vie for influence and the security of their economic lifelines. The canals are not just passages for goods but battlegrounds for power and prestige. A drought in Central America or conflict in the Middle East can ripple across the globe. Natural disasters, political unrest, or even climate change can threaten these vital arteries. These canals connect more than oceans. They connect the fates of nations and billions of people. Every day their waters carry the hopes and ambitions of a globalized world. The stakes could not be higher. The world's prosperity, and even its peace, can hinge on what happens in these narrow channels. Tonight, we pull back the curtain on this hidden power struggle. We'll reveal the stories, the secrets, and the high-stakes drama that unfold behind the scenes. We'll explore the Panama and Suez Canals, their pasts, turbulent presents, and uncertain futures. From their monumental construction to the challenges they face today, these waterways have shaped the world as we know it. Without these canals, the world as we know it would grind to a halt. The story of these waterways is the story of our interconnected world, and the risks we all share. To grasp the power of these canals, you must understand the world they serve. We live in an era where your phone, car, and coffee have all crossed oceans. Over 80% of global trade moves by sea. Shipping is the silent engine of our economy. Before the canals, ships faced perilous months-long journeys around continents. The Panama and Suez Canals changed everything. Revolutionary shortcuts that redrew the map of trade. The Suez slashed the Europe-Asia journey by over 4,000 miles. The Panama Canal saved nearly 8,000 miles between American coasts. These weren't small improvements, they transformed global trade and accelerated globalization. Today they're the linchpins of just-in-time manufacturing. A delay at a canal can mean empty shelves or halted factories. Their smooth operation is something we take for granted, until it's disrupted. They are the essential lifelines of our interconnected world, and their vulnerability is our own. The Suez Canal story is one of ambition, empire, and conflict. A tale shaped by the dreams and struggles of nations and individuals alike. Stretching across the Egyptian desert, this narrow waterway has witnessed the rise and fall of empires and the relentless pursuit of power. Built in the 19th century under the vision of French diplomat Ferdinand de Lesseps, the canal's construction demanded immense human effort and sacrifice. Tens of thousands of workers, many of them Egyptian laborers, toiled under harsh conditions, and many lost their lives to disease and exhaustion. When it finally opened in 1869, the Suez Canal instantly became a vital artery for the British Empire and other colonial powers, dramatically shortening the sea route between Europe and Asia. It transformed global trade, making the world feel smaller and more connected. Its strategic importance made it a flashpoint. Control over the canal meant power over the flow of goods, oil, and resources. Whoever held the canal held a key to global influence. In 1956, Egypt's bold nationalization of the canal triggered the Suez Crisis, a dramatic showdown with Britain, France, and Israel. The world watched as military forces clashed and the balance of power shifted in the Middle East. The world learned a crucial lesson. The Suez Canal is a prize worth fighting for, and its fate can reshape international relations. Decades later, in 2021, the Ever Given, a massive container ship, ran aground and blocked the canal for 6 days, bringing global shipping to a standstill and reminding us of the canal's enduring significance. The cost was staggering. Billions of dollars lost, supply chains disrupted, and a stark lesson in the fragility of global commerce. The world realized just how much we all depend on this narrow passage. Today, Egypt manages the canal, which has been widened and modernized to accommodate ever larger ships. It remains a lifeline for international trade, carrying nearly 10% of global seaborne goods. But its history and recent crises remind us, this thin blue line is more than just a waterway. It is a fault line of global power, where the ambitions of nations and the flow of commerce intersect. Here, commerce and conflict collide, with consequences that ripple across the globe, touching the lives of us all. The Panama Canal is a testament to human ingenuity against nature's fury. The French failed in the 1880s, defeated by disease and jungle. The US succeeded, thanks to medical breakthroughs and engineering innovation, using locks to cross mountains. Opened in 1914, it changed maritime trade and symbolized American power. After decades of tension, Panama took control in 1999, a moment of national pride. Today, the canal is Panama's economic lifeline, but now climate change threatens its future. Severe droughts in 2023 and 2024 forced drastic restrictions, creating bottlenecks and delays. The canal's reliance on fresh water is now a vulnerability. Even this marvel of engineering is at the mercy of a changing climate. The lesson nature still holds the upper hand. Control of these canals is a high-stakes game on the global chessboard. Whoever commands these narrow waterways holds immense power over the flow of global trade, energy, and even military movement. Officially, Suez is Egypt's and Panama is Panama's, but the reality is more complex. These nations are the legal custodians, but their authority is constantly tested by outside forces and shifting alliances. Major powers, especially the US and China, have deep strategic interests here. Their influence is felt in every negotiation, every infrastructure project, and every security arrangement. The US Navy protects these routes, seeing them as vital for commerce and military mobility. American warships patrol the waters, ensuring that the arteries of global trade remain open and secure. For China, the canals are lifelines for exports. It invests heavily in ports and industrial zones nearby. Chinese companies operate terminals, build logistics hubs, and finance infrastructure, embedding themselves in the region's economic fabric. This economic presence gives Beijing leverage, raising concerns in Washington. The US fears that China's growing footprint could one day translate into political or even military influence over these critical choke points. Egypt and Panama must balance the interests of these giants while managing their own sovereignty. They walk a diplomatic tightrope, seeking investment and security without ceding too much control. Regional instability adds to the tension. Attacks in the Red Sea have forced ships to avoid Suez. Every conflict or crisis in nearby waters sends shockwaves through the global supply chain. The canals are not just infrastructure, they're arenas for great power rivalry. Every ship that passes through is a reminder of the delicate balance that keeps world trade moving. Every disruption is a reminder of their vulnerability. A single accident or act of sabotage can halt billions of dollars in trade and trigger worldwide consequences. The struggle for influence is constant, and the stakes are global. As competition intensifies, the world's eyes remain fixed on these narrow but vital corridors. Who holds the keys? It's a question with no simple answer. The world watches and waits, knowing that the fate of global commerce can hinge on a single decision or unexpected event. The next crisis could come at any moment, and when it does, the true holders of the keys will be revealed. When a canal slows or closes, the economic shock is immediate. Shipping costs soar as ships take longer, costlier routes. These costs ripple down the supply chain, raising prices for everything from TVs to gasoline. Delays can halt factories, empty supermarket shelves, and disrupt just-in-time manufacturing. Companies rethink strategies, holding more inventory or moving production closer to home. The globalized economy is forced to adapt, often at great cost. Developing nations suffer most, hit hardest by price shocks and shortages. The Ever Given and Panama droughts were not just logistical headaches. They exposed deep vulnerabilities. Billions were lost, and the world saw how quickly the system can break down. The pain isn't shared equally. For some, it's an inconvenience. For others, a crisis. The lesson: our economic lifelines are more fragile than we think, and the next disruption may be just around the corner. New threats now join the old: climate change and conflict. For Panama, droughts threaten the water supply essential for its locks. Restrictions in 2023 to 24 were a wake-up call. Scientists warn this will become more common. The canal's future depends on adapting to a changing climate. Suez faces rising sea levels and, more urgently, regional conflict. Attacks in the Red Sea have forced ships to reroute, effectively closing the canal for many. Climate stress and conflict intersect, making these choke points more vulnerable than ever. The canals are caught between slow-moving crisis and sudden danger. Their security is no longer guaranteed. With the vulnerabilities of Panama and Suez exposed, the search for alternatives is on. Melting Arctic ice has opened new, shorter shipping lanes, but they're seasonal, risky, and politically fraught. Proposals for new canals or dry canals using rail face huge financial and environmental hurdles. The dream of a Nicaraguan canal remains stalled. For now, alternatives are supplementary at best. The scale, cost, and complexity of new routes are daunting. The world remains overwhelmingly dependent on Panama and Suez. Protecting and maintaining them is more critical than ever. Our global economy still runs through these century-old waterways. The Panama and Suez canals are more than shortcuts. They're pillars of our globalized world. A single crisis can send tremors through the entire system, affecting prices and supply everywhere. Despite talk of alternatives, no true replacement is on the horizon. The world's infrastructure is built around these canals. We are locked into dependence. Their security and stability will remain top priorities for world powers. The US-China rivalry and regional conflicts will only intensify. Climate change will force difficult choices about their future. Imagine a world without these canals. Less connected, more expensive, and far less efficient. They are symbols of our interconnectedness and our shared vulnerability. The story of the canals is the story of our modern world. Fragile, interdependent, and always one crisis away from chaos.